We are working with the COVID-19 or SARS-CoV-2. We know that this virus is very contagious. We has to work in a very high containment facility we call BSL-3, which is very, very expensive to construct. In Thailand, there are only a few containments like this working with the high contagious virus. So in order to work with the virus with a more confidence or with less cost, we need to have something like a surrogate or a representative of the virus. That is the virus that we can use in general laboratory that people outside high containment facility can work on. This is the concept of the pseudotype virus, or we call pseudovirus in short. Basically, this is another type of virus. This virus is very safe. We can work on it like on a bench or in just like a general laboratory without making us sick. But this virus can be engineered using the biotechnology to modify it so that it can harbor or it can contain the spike protein, which is the same as the protein that the SARS-CoV-2 or COVID-19 virus used to enter the cells. Basically, we just clone or we just take the protein on the surface of the authentic virus, the COVID-19 virus, and transfer those proteins into another type of virus, which is very safe to us. And we call this virus a pseudotype. So this pseudotype virus, if we look at from the outside, it looks exactly the same as the COVID-19 virus because we copy all the protein on the surface to the surface of another types of the virus. But if we look inside, the genetic material in that pseudotype virus are completely different from the COVID-19 because it is different kinds of virus. Therefore, if we got somehow accidentally infected by the pseudotype, those genetic material will do no harm to us because it is completely different types of virus. Therefore, people can work on it with confidence that they will not be exposed or infected or getting sick with this virus anymore because we have been using a very, very friendly virus in our research.
Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah, so basically when the new variant come in, like the COVID-19, like Omicron or Delta or anything, we just remove or we just take the gene or genetic material that encode the spike protein on the surface of the real or authentic virus and transfer to the pseudotype virus, and we have the whole panel of pseudotype virus ready for research.
Mm-hmm. This is also recognized by the WHO.
Yeah, I think the WHO has a standard for working with viruses, and they indicate clearly that in cases that the laboratory cannot get access to the authentic virus, that means suppose in Thailand, if you don't have patient get infected with the new variant of the Omicron. I don't want to name it because there are so many right now, but we want to know beforehand that our immune response, like a vaccine, can tackle with these new emerging variants. We don't have to wait for the new variant to come into the country and isolate the virus from the patient to do the work. The WHO said that if you have capacity to make a pseudotype virus, you can go ahead and get the genetic material that actually made public by the WHO or many laboratory around the world, and we can make pseudotype virus beforehand. So if we have this virus beforehand, we can have an upper hand against the virus that might coming into Thailand anytime. But we have a lot of challenges right now that the virus come from India, the virus may come from the US, or the virus may come from Australia. So if we have this information ready, we are in the upper hand for fighting with the new COVID-19 in the future.
Dr. Anand, how long has research been conducted?
Actually, I have been conducted the pseudotype work for quite a long time now, but I started working with COVID since about 2 years after COVID-19 became the pandemic. But before that, I worked on viruses that prevalent in the animal reservoir because we believe that a lot of viruses that are circulating in nature right now has a potential for spilling over to the human population. We call this one a zoonotic virus. That means the COVID-19 is actually a zoonotic virus because it jumped from bat to the intermediate host and then to human. So pseudotype that we did in the past, that we have been doing in the past, is that we just going to the like in a farm where the pig and chicken got infected by some viruses like influenza or coronaviruses, and we get those information of the spike protein or the protein that virus used to enter the cell, and we come to the lab and make pseudotype virus, and then we use that pseudotype virus to test ability to infect human cells. If those viruses have ability to infect human cells, we will have some information or at least some preliminary data telling people to get a warning sign that this virus has a potential to cross over to infect human cells. And if in that cases, we need to have something prepared, like a vaccine or antivirus or anything like a detection diagnostic kit or whatever that can make our preparedness plan be stronger.
So currently, right now, at what stage of development is this virus at?
Uh, I think it depends on the virus we are working with. If it's not COVID-19, we have been using the pseudotype virus on a lot of applications right now. We actually collaborating with a lot of hospitals that doing clinical trial with vaccines. You know that Thailand use a lot of vaccine for COVID-19, and those formula or a lot of regimens that are working right now because people might have some inactivated followed by mRNA or viral vector followed by mRNA. A lot of those regimens has a key question whether the immune response boosted by those other types of vaccination are enough for the new emerging viruses like the new variant of Omicron. So
Yes.
what if it actually we made pseudotype virus that contain the spike protein specific for that Omicron, like a BA2, BA5, or BA4.6, something that coming in the future. Well, we have the whole panel of those pseudotype virus in our laboratory, and we got serum from hospital, the people doing clinical trial, and came to us and asked key question whether the immune response in those serum from the volunteer or the patients are enough to protect them from infection with those viruses. So we have a lot of good data telling the public that by the time that they got boosted for maybe 3 months or 4 months, their immune response are not going to be enough. There might be a good time for them for some boosting,
Yeah.
or it might be clinical trial for the in-house vaccine in Thailand, you know, about Yelakov or Baya, all those vaccine that has been developed by Thai people. We are also collaborating with them and using our pseudotype virus technology to answer the question whether the vaccine that made by Thai people are also in a
It's
good standard
responding.
compared to other the one that developed from international company.
Well, apart from COVID-19 virus, can we use this alternative virus to another type of virus which is not COVID-19?
Yes, I think, yeah. Particularly the one that we know a lot about, like coronavirus, COVID-19, the coronavirus, and we are quite sure that we are not gonna face or encounter coronavirus, which is COVID-19, going to be the last one. There will be more. I think many more in the future. This pseudotype virus is very handy to be applied for the new variant that's coming in. So, and also influenza virus that we know a lot about how the virus enter the cells. We have like I think news from China, levy virus that just heard about a few days ago that there is some zoonotic potential that come from shrew, the shrew that infect the shrew and then transmit the virus to human. Those types of viruses can be applied in the pseudotype virus because we know quite a lot about how the virus get into the cells. But there are some challenging questions, like the big virus, like a monkeypox virus, for example. Monkeypox virus has been with us for a long time, but the research about the pox virus are very rare when compared to influenza or coronavirus because pox viruses occur in Africa, and research in Africa region are very not very
Not much information.
yeah, so not much information available for the public when compared to the coronavirus or influenza virus that impact the Western world. So now we don't know exactly how pox virus enter the cells. And then people ask me whether I can make pseudotype virus that are specific for the monkeypox virus and know that the immune response in our body right now, especially those who got vaccinated 40 or 50 years ago during the smallpox vaccine campaign, can do something to prevent us from the monkeypox. This is something like the challenge for us because we don't know how monkeypox enter the cells. But if we don't know how the monkeypox enter the cell, we don't know how to make pseudotype virus. This is a good example that the research has to be more supported, especially with the virus that are not common in the Western world. When it comes into affect us like a monkeypox right now, we will have something challenging to face with because we don't know much about it.
So that means that in order to use this pseudovirus, we need to know some basic nature of that specific type of virus first in order to put the key information in the pseudovirus.
Definitely. That basic science about that virus, that how it behaves in nature, what is the replication cycle, how it enters the cells, what type of cells, what protein on the virus that do the job for infecting us is very key. Otherwise, we have no idea. We cannot copy. We cannot make pseudotype virus from nature. We have to copy the nature so that science can move quickly. If we don't understand the nature, science just stay still. We cannot move anywhere. So this is something that people think that science can do anything. This is not true. We have to learn a lot from nature. And if the nature teach us, we can do it really quickly after we know what's going on.
Okay, so since you're currently working on the coronavirus with this type of pseudovirus, I would like to ask because you know how people right now they get their boosting shots, a lot of boosting shots, and we have a lot of variants as well. Some will actually still going to get their boosting shots and will still get the infected, especially right now. Do you think that the boosting shots, some people are on their 5th shots already, is necessary?
Yeah, I think the concept of boosting shots for many people are actually misreading. They are misunderstood that they misunderstood that if they got boosted, the immune response will get stronger and they can compete with the new variant of the Omicron or COVID-19, maybe the new Omicron or something, the new name that WHO you can name it in the future. But the idea is that the vaccine that we have been boosting right now, are made from the virus that created 3 years ago, or the ancestral strain, or we call Wuhan strain. This strain actually are not existent nowadays in nature because it has actually replaced by many variants like Alpha, Delta, and now Omicron, so many Omicron right now. The virus has been changing a lot. there are so many places in the antigen or in the protein of the virus that has been different or changed when compared to the original vaccine.
The shape,
The
making
shape, some the shape or the amino acid or the residue that contain on the spike protein. So basically, if you use microscope or very outer very high resolution look at the virus comparing the ancestral strain and the Omicron today, you're going to see a lot of difference in terms of the protein on the surface. If we got that original strain spike into our body will just looking at that and have a memory on it, just like that. But in nature, when we see the new variant coming into our body, they are so different that our body cannot make antibody to bind to it or to protect us from infection. So this is the one thing that our immune response doesn't have specificity, or it cannot get antibody to specific for the new variant. That is one thing. Another thing is that the vaccine that have been used in right now that we have been boosted, we can use it by inoculation directly into our muscle. So the immune response generated is actually in our blood system. So it's circulating in the blood. So the idea is that the blood will go to the organ, like in the lung or heart or kidney, and antibody just circulating in the blood there. So if the virus get there, some antibody might be protecting us from getting to the cell in the organ. But the idea is that the virus get infected to us. They get into our body through the nose or the respiratory tract. The blood cannot go to that nose in not very high amount of antibody. So the chance of the virus get infection into our body will be very high. And the antibody, the first one is not that specific. The second one is not high amount. So we are just not in a good shape for protecting ourselves from infection if we got boosted. And people maybe 6 times, 7 times, or 8 times gonna be no different because the antibody in the nose will be the same. So when we just get into the area where a lot of virus circulating, we're gonna get infected for sure. The idea is that if we get boosting so many times, our body will keep learning the old thing over and over.
Just
So
repeat.
repeated vaccination, you're just learning the same thing over and over, and we have memory about that. So in the future, if we get the new variant vaccine, like the second version from Moderna and Pfizer coming in, that generate a vaccine based on the Omicron variant BA.5, and we expect that out if we get number 7 shot after the 6th shot with the old vaccine and the 7th shot boosting from the new variant, we expect we're going to have a lot of boosting with the new variant. That is not true, because the 6th time that we have already learned how the old immune response behave. The seventh time you're going to take a lot more time to learn more about it. So that means if we got shot the 7th time with the new variant, we will not get the immune response boosted in the same way as we did in the past, because we will have learned a lot about that. Therefore, a lot of people, like people in the research area, keep warning that if we immunize ourselves unnecessarily, too much, it's gonna backfire to us, that our immune response will not gonna get good response after boosting with the new variant of the vaccine. So our recommendation is just minimize the vaccination with the old vaccine, just enough for protection of the severe disease, because we cannot protect us from infection anyway, because this is the way nature tells us that virus get through our body that vaccine cannot help. We have to protect us something else, like the mask, or avoid getting to the crowd or something like that. But vaccine cannot protect us from infection. If we know that, we know how to tackle the virus, and we know how to to make ourselves safe during the time of this pandemic, until we get a new tool or a new weapon coming in to help us, like a new version of the vaccine.
Well, I hope that the pseudovirus would help contributing in a way in the future as well. So my question is, how will this contribute to future medical research and benefit to the future?
You mean the pseudotype virus?
Yes, pseudotype virus.
Yeah, so we have a lot of potential of using this technology for answering many questions that we are have no idea what is going on right now, such as the virus that we don't have authentic virus in the country. Like some people might ask, what happened if the Levy virus or the new variant of the like an HIV or something like influenza or coronavirus or all those viruses that are not right now with us. We have answer right now if we have pseudotype. We don't have to wait for the virus to emerge and become pandemic or making us sick or making us to stay working at home because a lot of virus outside. We have an upper hand. We have time. I think time is very precious. And if we have pseudotype right now, we just go to the lab, make the virus that become our friend, cannot infect, but we have information beforehand that if HIV changing this way, HIV will become a more virulent virus, or if the new COVID-19 or new Omicron have been changed at this particular residue, it have a potential to break through the immune response that we have already vaccinated, or the new version of vaccine like BA.5 vaccine coming this winter. If we have that information, we will know beforehand that the COVID-19 will fight back by doing some mutation to evade the immune response of the new generation vaccine. We have information ready for another new generation vaccine, so that we don't have to wait for the new Omicron to sweep through the world like it did 2 years ago. We can have an upper hand, and if we know that upper hand, we can fight with virus. And I have my personal belief is that if science and nature are competing, nature always wins. But
Yes.
if science has an upper hand, if science has time to prepare an upper hand, science can win nature. We can do something that nature cannot do. Something like pseudotype, there is no pseudotype in nature. We cannot go to the wild. We cannot go to the mountain and find pseudotype anywhere because it's science that made in the lab. But if we have time to do it, I think we have a chance to win or to have like a victory over nature. But so far, we don't have time. And whenever we have time, nature always on top of it. And this is all we always lose with this race. So I think as a scientist, I still have a dream that in the future, if technology is getting more and more sophisticated and we have collaboration with people around the world, we can spend less time and we can keep up with nature, and the damage that we're gonna get from this pathogen or disease or those things, the pandemic will be much less than what we are facing right now with the current pandemic.
Mm-hmm. Well, Dr. Ananta, I am putting my hopes on the pseudotype vaccine. Oh no, pseudotype virus, not the vaccine.
Yeah, I think vaccine is one thing, and this one, like a good friend of vaccine. If we have pseudotype sharing vaccine, where to go? Vaccine will go to the correct direction, and we don't have to lose time, a lot of money, a lot of investment doing something that we don't use. I think a lot of company are wasting a lot of money on a vaccine that they are not using right now. I think during the pandemic, we spent so much money on vaccine that has been wasted. We have only maybe just 4 or 5 vaccines around the world right now that we can use for COVID-19. But if you remember, in the beginning, there are more than 200 companies working to get a COVID vaccine, but they end up not going to the market because the virus went so fast, and it just vaccine cannot come up with something in time for the evolution of the virus. So if we know beforehand, I think that is something that we can beat it. Yeah.
So exactly. So the pseudotype virus can be estimated or can be tested in any type of vaccine if we know about its nature, and also it's very safe as well.
Very
like
safe.
what you say, very safe. You don't need to work on the real virus, no risk, and then the virus is actually can be tested in any other type of virus as well. Fast efficiency. You can also get the results within 28 hours, right?
Yes, yeah. So for the real virus take about 5 days. For the pseudotype can maybe 2 days, and we can get the same result. And I think that is something very attractive for the pseudotype virus for making research when we have time as a factor. If we have to do it very quickly, we cannot wait for the virus to work for 5 days or a week. And I think only 2 days, we can save 5 days to do something else. And those 5 days are actually very crucial if we are in need of competing within the vaccine business or to making a new vaccine available for people, especially when the viruses are very, very pathogenic or highly virulent. If we need time is very valuable in that kind of situation.
Anything can happen within 5 minutes. 48
Yeah,
hours is
exactly.
already enough.
Exactly. Yep. Yeah.
Okay, Dr. Anand, thank you for sharing your information and the information about the pseudotype virus. It is very informative and helpful, and thank you for joining our program today. And that's it for Voice of the Nations for today. Stay tuned with us from Monday to Friday from 8 to 8:30 p.m. And you also can watch us the rerun again on our Facebook fan page, The Nation Thailand, and also on our website, nationthailand.com. For today, I'm Nina Nirashamalisak Lumi. สวัสดีค่ะ